Hey Canelo, if the WBC asks you to either fight Golovkin next or give up the belt, what do you do?
I'm ready.
You ready? So we're gonna see Golovkin in May or what?
He's ready. I'm ready.
There it is. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Man, oh man. So Canelo and Khan had their final press conference today, and Canelo Alvarez, he did a round table, and he hit him up. Canelo Alvarez, he went in on Gennady Golovkin. Now, before I give you my take, let me go ahead and quote exactly what Canelo Alvarez had to say about facing Gennady Golovkin. Quote, "Look, I fought the best. I've never been afraid of anyone. You look at my last 10 opponents compared to his last 10 opponents, and you guys can see there is no reason to be afraid of him. If it was really about business or it was really about money, then we would have done it already because a lot of people want to see the fight. He needs to work his way up. He needs to earn his shot. He has to fight someone who can complicate him. Someone who has skills. Yeah, he has all these knockouts, but who has he fought? Opponents that are right there to be hit." End quote. Let me tell you guys something. When it comes to what Canelo Alvarez said, I will tell you right now, what Canelo said, it made all the sense in the world. I can see where Canelo Alvarez is coming from. To a certain extent, I can also see where Gennady Golovkin is coming from. I'll put it that way. Now, when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, he's basically saying, look, man, you have a belt at 160. If you're not going to fight me, at least give me the belt. I agree with Golovkin when he says that. And even though it doesn't make sense that Canelo is holding the middleweight belt hostage at 155, when he has a belt at 160, I have to agree with Canelo when he says he wants to see Golovkin actually fight someone who's going to complicate him, fight someone who is going to show resistance in the ring, right? So far, we have not seen that with Gennady Golovkin. So here's the thing, guys. You know, this is a blessing and a curse. This works both ways when I think about it. When you hear Canelo basically suggesting he's not going to fight Golovkin unless Golovkin steps up in competition, that's still good for the boxing fans because that, in a certain way, that forces Golovkin to step up and fight someone. Now, isn't it funny when you guys think about it? Why is it Canelo can say what I've been saying about Golovkin, what other people on the coincidental list have been saying about Golovkin all along? Now, when Canelo says it, none of these decaps call him racist, right? He's not racist. He's not a punk bitch or any of this other derogatory type of terms that these decaps use. He's none of that. Only when a black person says this about Gennady Golovkin do you get called every name in the book. And that just proves to you that really they're not calling you racist. They're calling you the opposite. They're actually the racist and they're using code words. No different than calling fighters like Guillermo Rigo, I say fighters on the coincidental list. It's no different than calling Guillermo Rigondeaux boring. Even after he gets a knockout, they'll still call him boring. Why? Because they have to stick to those code words, right? Calling Andre Ward inactive even if he's already had 2 fights in a row. They have to stick to the code words. So calling me or someone else who says the same thing that Canelo Alvarez just said about Gennady Golovkin, calling that person racist is no different than calling me boring, inactive, arrogant, a son of a bitch, or whatever type of code words they want to use to cover up what they really want to call you. We know what time it is. So anyway, so Canelo Alvarez, he hops on the Golovkin criticism wagon, right? And I say he hops on the wagon because the wagon is pretty filled up right now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and add this link into this video. I'll probably add it after I do the video. So if you guys look up top, you should see the little link to your left-hand top corner. And you click on that link. I made a compilation video of multiple trainers, boxers, promoters of all different races and colors and nationalities. Some are even from Russia, very close to Gennady Golovkin. And they're all saying the exact same thing about Golovkin that Canelo just said. On top of the people on my video, you just recently had Virgil Hunter, who said something similar to all these other fighters. You just recently had Sergey Kovalev, who is one of Gennady Golovkin's allies, and he was even criticizing Golovkin's resume and the opponents that he's facing. Matter of fact, you could check out Boxing Ego's video. He has the video. Matter of fact, if I have time, I'll add that link as well. Boxing Ego, he has an interview, a roundtable with Sergey Kovalev, where Sergey Kovalev is talking about Gennady Golovkin not fighting anyone. So once again, everyone else can say these things about Gennady Golovkin, but when it comes to black people, obviously we don't have permission to say these things. Don't you love how them double standards work? But see, it doesn't matter to me, because I ain't gonna never ask for permission. I don't give a damn how much these decafs cry. You can sit over here and throw all the cold words you want at me. That ain't gonna stop me from giving you this truth. You gonna get this truth. And that's the reason why you decafs are always the first people to watch my videos, right? I upload a video 2 o'clock in the morning. Some decaf, he's still up. He's sitting around just waiting for me to upload a video. You know, hey, you bastard Dante, I'm 18 minutes in this video and I just wanted to tell you you're full of shit. Yeah, you 18 minutes in it. Fucking taking no-dos and shit, trying to stay awake so you could fucking watch the shit. We know what time it is. That's how powerful the whole truth is. Even though you don't want to hear it, you gotta listen to it because you know it makes all the sense in the world. So anyway, man, this Canelo Golovkin situation is very interesting because once again, I like the fact that it forces Golovkin to look elsewhere to become a star. And eventually what's going to happen, guys, is he's going to eventually have to fight someone that he doesn't want to fight. He's going to eventually have to fight someone like a James DeGale at 168, a Gilberto Ramirez, the newly crowned undefeated champion at 168, an Erislandy Lara, right? Hell, maybe even a Kell Brook. And I know a lot of people, they feel Kell Brook is way too small, which he probably is. But unfortunately for Golovkin, when it comes to his resume, even a Kell Brook would be a huge step up compared to the opponents that Golovkin has already faced, right? Yeah, Kell Brook will go in the ring and probably be outweighed by 20 pounds, and he'll probably lose. But he will still be a step up from the competition that Golovkin has been facing his whole career. I was about to say lately. No, his whole career. Now, granted, Golovkin does want Danny Jacobs. He does want, Billy Joe Saunders. But if those guys don't want to fight Golovkin, what is Golovkin supposed to do? Continue to fight the Willie Monroes, the Adamas, the Rosados, the Rubios? Is he supposed to do that? And just sit down on his ass and just wait for the perfect cash cow opponent to come along? See, a lot of you fans like to compare Golovkin to Floyd Mayweather, which makes no sense at all. A lot of you do. And what's so funny is they'll compare a guy that they actually like to a guy that they don't like, to a guy that they despise. You know that makes no damn sense at all. Sitting over here saying, oh, well, Floyd did this, how come Golovkin can't do it? Well, Floyd did this, how come Golovkin can't do it? First of all, the situation is not apples and apples. It ain't even apples and oranges. The shit is apples and rocks if you are trying to compare what Golovkin has done to Floyd Mayweather. But once again, I go back to my original question. Why would you compare someone you like to someone you don't like? If you're trying to say that Golovkin is doing the same things that Floyd Mayweather is doing, doesn't that mean you have no excuse for hating Floyd Mayweather? I mean, these decafs are idiots. They are idiots. They make no sense in the world because they are never thinking with logic. They're thinking with hate, which often comes from a dark ass heart. I mean, how do you sit over here and say Floyd Mayweather is the biggest overrated cherry picker in the world? He never fought anybody. Everyone he fought was old and past their prime, and they were all bums and tomato cans, right? And then all of a sudden when Golovkin comes along, you say, hey, well, Floyd Mayweather did it, so what's wrong with Golovkin doing it? Oh, now all of a sudden everything that Floyd Mayweather did was okay if it's someone with their hope insurance doing it. We know what time it is. We damn sure know what time it is. Let me tell you something, man. I'm going to keep exposing the ignorance that exists in the sport of boxing. And it's too goddamn easy to do. These decafs, they don't want that work with me. You could sit over here and you could post stupid shit. You could send racist messages and all this ridiculous shit that has nothing to do with boxing. But when it comes to laying the facts out, that's when they go silent. Because they don't want to have a conversation about facts. This shit is too easy. You can hate the fuck out the truth, but you can never bury the truth. You can never lock up the truth. And if you do lock up the truth, it's going to break free. Oh yeah, it's going to break free. I guarantee that. Because it always does. So once again, you know, the bad thing about Canelo saying this is that obviously means we're not going to get that big fight. The good news is it forces Gennady Golovkin once again to look elsewhere and challenge himself. Okay? And I truly believe he's going to have to fight one of the 4 or 5 fighters that have been calling him out. So far, you have Erislandy Lara, you have Kell Brook, you have James DeGale, who I know is fighting Badou Jack next, but he can still fight Golovkin after that, right? And you have Gilberto Ramirez. Added onto that list is a new up-and-comer by the name, I believe his name is Advantel Kurzitse. He just actually beat, what's his name? He beat Antoine Douglas. Stopped an undefeated, very good American prospect, middleweight prospect in Antoine Douglas. That was a very good fight. This guy, his favorite fighter, he idolizes Mike Tyson, and he's short stature and he fights just like Mike Tyson. Of course, he doesn't have, all of the attributes that Mike Tyson has, but this is a good fighter. And actually, his style would be very challenging for Gennady Golovkin. He's shorter than Golovkin. He's built like a tank. He fights on the inside. He's not going to be like David Lemieux, afraid to throw a punch and shit. He's supposed to be this big ass power puncher, but this motherfucker get in the ring and he's afraid to throw a damn punch. So you have a fight that's been promoted as fireworks, bombs away, Mexican style, right? 2 hard power punchers on pay-per-view. You got the fight being promoted like that, and what do we get? We get a guy who's afraid to punch the whole night, which is David Lemieux, and the other guy, Golovkin, who's reluctant to throw anything other than a jab when he's made his reputation off of Mexican style. Now all of a sudden he wants to be jab style. Now, once again, it's nothing wrong with going in there and boxing, right? But just like Teddy Atlas said, I mean, a guy that has 400 fights, it doesn't surprise anyone. He should know how to box. You got 400 fights. You would expect a guy, and not even box, just use a jab all night. Just like Teddy Atlas said, once again, when you have over 400 fights, I expect you to know how to throw a good ass jab for 12 rounds or 9 rounds. So even if Danny Jacobs and Billy Joe Saunders refuses to fight Golovkin next, Gennady Golovkin has 5 fighters or more. The list continues to grow. He has at least 5 fighters that have called him out. You're telling me out of those 5 fighters, you can't find one of those guys to fight next? It doesn't make sense. And if you guys have noticed, I've been talking a lot about Billy Joe Saunders and Danny Jacobs not being interested in fighting Golovkin, pretty much turning down the fight. Isn't it funny how whenever I talk about Danny Jacobs not wanting to fight Golovkin, no one calls me the N-word, no one calls me racist, no one calls me biased, etc., etc. Even with Billy Joe Saunders, no one says anything like that. They only say that when I say that Golovkin, he's not interested in fighting Erislandy Lara. Golovkin, he turned down the Andre Ward fight. Golovkin is not interested in fighting James DeGale. Golovkin needs to step up and fight better competition. Only when you say something about the man with his hope insurance, then they have a problem. Oh, they don't give a damn if you say something about Danny Jacobs. They don't care nothing about Danny Jacobs. I can sit over here and call Danny Jacobs whatever I want to call him. They don't care. When I criticized Deontay Wilder, way before he beat Berman Severn, I criticized certain things that I didn't like that he was doing. Even when Deontay Wilder got first round knockouts, I was still criticizing Deontay Wilder. None of these decafs cared. When J. Leon Love was still undefeated, I criticized him. I talked about some of the flaws and some of the things that may cost him in the future. These decafs didn't care. But as soon as you say that shit about someone on the Gennady list, soon as you say something about Golovkin, soon as you criticize Roman Gonzalez's performance over Ariel Williams, now all of a sudden, all these racist comments flood in, all these code words are thrown out. We know what time it is. But over here at Dante's Boxing Nation, you're gonna keep getting the whole goddamn truth. That's all I got. I'm on to the next one.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.